right, everyone. How are you doing? It is Monday. It is Halloween. It is October 31st in Kitsap County. As you know, it's kind of dreary out there, 54 degrees. And this is the last day of the month. October went so quickly, but a lot got done. And, I can't think of a better way to start off the week than to have the executive director's corner. And Tony Ives is back, executive director of KCR, to update us on what's going on, all those good things. So let's go ahead and bring him forward. Give him an applause. How are you doing?
Marwan, you're just so silly. I'm good.
You know what? It's a great icebreaker. Everyone smiles when they get an applause.
Happy Halloween.
Oh, happy Halloween to you too.
Marwan, you were out with the kids yesterday, huh?
I was, and they left me to be killed by the ghost and the witches and all the demons and things like that. But it was a lot of fun.
Great. That's
Super
great.
excited.
I heard it was raining.
It was raining,
Mm,
pouring down. We had ponchos. It actually held up for the most part for us, but it was super dark and just a great little farm out there. Mile, a good way to get your exercise. Just be careful of your footing. So, wish I had a cane, but it was all fun.
great.
How about you?
Boy, I must say I was out on a conference at a conference all last week, and it was a lot of work. So I didn't really do anything this weekend. I needed to just rest and catch up because it was a long drive both ways. So, yep, I kind of took it easy.
Nice. Well, taking it easy is tremendously important. All things in moderation.
Yes, sir. Mental health and physical health. So,
Well, what do you have for us today?
so the last time I was here, I I talked about the needs assessment, the community needs assessment that we're involved in, and I think I presented data and demographics of that assessment. So originally, the survey was going to close on September 30th, but I think I mentioned Olympic College wanted us to reopen it back up and PCHS as well. So we did reopen it up and it closed um, just this last week on the 23rd. And so now some of the data has been cleaned, meaning seeing if there are duplicates or uh, looking at the languages and also looking at the ethnicities and if people responded under one or two or three different ethnicities and just understanding what that meant. So now in October, we started doing focus groups, and I'll talk about that a little later. So if I can just share my screen. Oh,
Absolutely.
I just want to, yeah, let's see. Let me share that screen. Just 1 second. Okay, great. Share this one. Here we go.
All right.
Okay. Sorry, it's a little small,
It's all right.
uh, but I can probably increase the view here. Let's try some zooming. How about one? Let's try that. Hmm. Well, it's okay.
No, it's
Some
okay. Go ahead. Try to
some
maximize your screen there, Tony.
some it is maximized, but
Is it
sometimes
maximized for you?
yes, sir, it is. Sometimes the
The bottom
technological.
right-hand corner.
There you
See
go.
that?
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. There we go. Thank you so much. So we've had 4,528 responses in English, 12 in Spanish, two in Tagalog, and two in Kurdish. So I must say the conference I was at, it was a community action agency conference with 30 of my counterparts, community action agencies around Washington State. And when we talked about this needs assessment, No one has ever received this amount of responses. No one ever. And
Wow.
we're pretty happy about it. And I credit all of our partners, Kitsap Regional Libraries, the United Way, Kitsap Public Health District, and Molina Health, an assortment of churches and food banks and supermarkets around Kitsap County, because there's no way we could have gotten this done without the support of our partners. And this includes the Kitsap County government. So thanks to all those partners to help get this done. So in analyzing some of the data, so this is the data by zip code. What we're going to eventually see is where you live and where you work, because we know there's disparities of where people live and where people work. But right now, to keep it simple, this is on Bainbridge Island. Okay. Again, these numbers are going to be updated here within the week. So right now, the numbers don't really reflect the 4,500 and 4,550 responses. It really just reflects about 4,300, but it's close. Okay. So as you can see in Bainbridge Island, we had about 450 responses. That's 11% of the survey, which it represents 9% of Kitsap County residents. In Bremerton, the Bremerton zip codes, you see the four zip codes there.
Mm-hmm.
We had about 1,026, which is a lot more than the census data of 18%. So that's 25% of our survey was actually out of Bremerton, which is great. Central Kitsap, 693%, which is about 10% below the 27% that KPHD has, Kitsap Public Health District. And then in South Kitsap, there's about 892, which represents 20% of the survey sample. About a month ago, I think I mentioned South Kitsap was really, really low, and we were able to partner with the food bank over there and grocery outlet, and Kitsap County did a huge push for us, and even my church participated in the survey. So just getting South Kitsap to respond, because it was important that we went across zip codes, across demographics, and get as large a sample as possible. So we're pretty happy with the 4,550 approximate respondents, and I thank everybody who responded to the survey. I really do. So here it is split up by race. You can see African American, Black, it's about 123 respondents, which is right in line, 3%, right in line with census data. I don't think this is census data. I think this is KPHD data, because I think it's, for the Black community, it's closer to 4.7%. But we're using this as a method of comparison. The Asian population, 209, so it's 5% versus 6% with KPHD. The Hispanic, Latino, and Latinx population, 218 respondents, which is 5%. Native American or American Indian, 35, which is about 1%. I really thank Sklallam and Suquamish for helping out there. And then Native Hawaiian or Pacific Islander, 197 respondents, which is way over the average of 1%. It's 5% of the survey. I got to credit God's Broken Home here, Bailey and Monk, for all their work and just getting the survey out to the community. And then Middle Eastern or North African, that's 77%, 77 respondents, which is 2% of the population. And then the white Caucasian, 3,387, which is 82% of the sample size. And then, as you can see, there's multiracial, where respondents picked 2 or so race categories, maybe Black and white, or whatever it is. So there's 370 respondents there. We gave people the opportunity to respond that way. As far as the income levels go, again, it's across income levels. So 286. Hey, if I get too technical here, Juan, shut me up, all right?
No, I will. No, It's great. And you know what? This is so appreciated uh, because when folks do things and collect data out, they don't often share where the data came from, what was the breakdown of the data. I mean, it's fantastic. You know, you'll talk about the focus groups and other things that you and Kids at Public Health and United Way are going to do to make the data available to everyone. But this part is so critical and important to understand. Well, who filled this out? You know, where did they fill it out?
Yes,
So
sir.
I, this is super important. Thank you, appreciate it.
Well, that being said, I mean, we were at food banks. That includes Possible, Fishline over there, helping folks fill out the survey, and their staff did an excellent job with that. We were all over the place, tabling at events. So that's why you can see this income distribution. So less than 15,000 in income, there's 286 respondents, which represented 8% of the sample. And then 15,000 to $30,000 as an income, 260. The 30,000 to $45,000 range, 320, which is 9% of the sample size. 45,000 to 65,000, that's 477 respondents. Okay. I mean, we split this up really tightly. And again, I have to thank KPHD for their help in this. 65,000 to 100,000, 773 respondents. 100,000 to 150, 735. 150 to 200,000, 339 people responded, which is about 2% above the average 8% KPHD data. 200,000 to 250, 137 people respond, and then 250 or more. This is household income. Remember, 120 respondents. So the data is robust, and there's a lot of work to do with the quantitative analysis behind that. I have to say, I was with Department of Commerce for part of the week, and they're going to do some of the translations for us. Some of the survey respondents responded in languages that I don't understand, and so they're going to translate that data for us as well, and we're going to include it into the data responses. Okay,
Nice.
so that's
So now I do have a question for you, Tony.
yes,
So
sir.
your comparison was is the numbers that you gathered for this survey now and compared to the census. Do you happen to have a comparison of the numbers you collected now versus the numbers collected 2 years ago from the last survey?
So so I'm just in all transparency. There's never been a survey like this before.
Mm.
And the last survey that KCR did was 3 years ago. And honestly, maybe there were 100 respondents of the survey. Um, that's that's what happened, and it was also during the beginning part of COVID. So the survey wasn't as robust as it is now. Even Kids at Public Health, the most that they've ever gotten at a survey response was under 1,500, 1,346, I believe it was. So we're everyone's really happy about this. And again, we couldn't have done it without the community and the community partnerships. Even like Marvin Williams, they really helped push this for us, and our own staff here at KCR. So that's the comparison that I have. So for Marwan, I think we're doing something that just hasn't been done before. And at the end of the day, when here we don't have to share the screen anymore. Marwan, here, let me stop it. Yeah, at the end of the day, maybe January or February when we have all the analysis done. Again, we're going to put that out on a dashboard so people can access the data, analyze it, and use it. And then various organizations, including ourselves, will be preparing strategic plans as a result of the data and how to best serve the community. Okay.
So in the interim, what are some of the things that you'll be doing? I know there are some focus groups that have taken place. Was at Friday night's Black Student Union event, and they're going to be doing a focus group. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, thanks for that question. So I'll start with the Black Student Union. I believe that focus group is just being organized for the 15th of November. That will be here unless Jill tells us otherwise, and that should be a good one. So far we've done 3 focus groups. First one was in English, and I must say it was a unique experience for me. Um, so we had a few participants there, and we had some prepared questions, but really these focus groups are discussion. And I want to remind everybody who wants to participate in a focus group can. They can go on our website and grab the link and say yes, you want to participate in the focus groups. We provide a $25 gift card, all the food there, and childcare if you need it. The childcare is in a separate room. We have toys and books and all kinds of things for the kids, so the parents could just concentrate on the conversation. We keep this an hour, so hour to hour and a half. We keep it really tight and cut it off so your time isn't wasted. Okay, and again, the $25 gift card is for our appreciation in participating because we realize your time is valuable. Everybody's time is valuable. So so the first one we did in English. I want to give you like highlights of what that looked like.
Please.
And it's no coincidence. So the first one is healthcare or lack thereof. So we all know that there's only one hospital here in Kitsap County, and in fact, the last emergency room in Bremerton closed down. I just read that over the weekend. It's also no coincidence that the day after we did this focus group, Kitsap Sun ran an article in the paper, and also Josh Farley, he was on NPR on KUOW talking about the emergency services and the hospital services here in Kitsap County and how a dire situation we are in right now. I recognize that the mayor is putting together a plan, a study to analyze the steps going forward. But from the focus group, this was a major concern.
Mm.
I didn't expect it. I expected another answer, but this was the first consensus that we had. Every single person in the room talked about it.
Hey,
So
Tony, isn't that a great reason to do a survey, right? You already have this kind of preconceived notion on what you
yeah,
think is going to be important, and then it's something totally different.
that's exactly right. And I'm looking forward to seeing actually the data and how important each problem is, right? And where does it rank? But this isn't unique. I'm going to talk about the other languages, but everybody talked about healthcare and the different problems that were involved in it. So yeah, it's a serious issue in Kitsap County. Again, this is going to be a reflection on how organizations can and should go forward in their strategic planning, including the city of Bremerton, um, uh, and 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 what we're going to look like 18 months or 2 years from now, and how to best serve Kitsap County residents. The second the second significant topic in this particular focus group was homelessness. Are
Mm.
people just on the edge of homelessness, just on the verge of homelessness, and 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 a lot of reasons because of that, which includes rent and includes lack of housing and housing stock around Kitsap County. And I think we all know this. And KCR, with along with Bremerton Housing Authority in Kitsap County, we're right in the middle of this.
Mm.
So we recognize the problem, but to hear it from a focus group is also very important. Um, the third thing, and Marwan, I wanted to note this. Um, the people in that room, um, the participants, I really am grateful that they came and spoke openly about this. They want to be treated like we all do, with dignity and respect.
Wow. Okay.
And
From
and
whom?
from service providers and
Uh,
even from KCR.
okay.
And the reason why we're having these focus groups is, how can KCR improve? How can we do things better? What are we doing things wrong? And what are we doing things that are great? So it's service providers, the community at large, and frankly, KCR. Um, our clients want to be treated with dignity and respect, no matter what their economic situation is, what their health situation is, dignity and respect. So I wanted to say that and say how important that is, and say I recognize that, and it's definitely in my notes as we analyze the data. So, so the second focus group, Marwan, it was in Spanish, which was great. Um, I speak Spanish. Siri Kushner from KPHD was there, helping to facilitate, and it was a wonderful event. And I will give you some highlights of that.
Yeah,
Again,
please.
we had food and toys for the kids in the other room, and everybody had a great time. Um, the one thing about different communities and different languages, it takes a little bit to develop trust. And the word in Spanish is confianza. And so you sit there for a bit and you talk about things and discuss things. And then maybe the things that you talked about in the first 15 minutes, maybe something a little different towards the end of the conversation, because people are finally opening up and trusting you and understanding that it's a conversation and there's no right or wrong answer, right?
And you said the word is confianza.
Confianza, Confianza, and it means trust, right? And with you, Marwan, we have confianza. We have a trusting relationship. I can tell you most anything, and you won't put it on the news on your podcast.
Not unless you tell me to.
So that's a word that I strive for.
Spell it again slowly for me, Tony.
Confianza, Confianza. Confianza, phonetically spelled, really.
That is
Okay.
the word of the day, everyone.
There you
Confianza.
go. Look, there you go. Look, Maran, there you go. That's great. So again, healthcare was at the top of the list, and followed by transportation.
Really?
There was a mother in the room who spoke about, she lives in Silverdale, and the routes have been decreased. And so I'm talking about the bus routes. And so she has to walk a mile to the bus routes. This is for work. She walks a mile to the bus, and then and at 3 o'clock in the morning, Marwan, if you can believe that. And I sat there listening to this. Hello, Representative Simmons. How are you doing? I sat there listening to what she was saying. And this is every day, not just her, but people in the community. They have to walk a mile or longer to their bus stops at that early in the morning. She even said that a couple times she got stopped by the police, right? Because they were wondering what she was out there doing. One time she was walking on the highway trying to get to the bus stop, right? This was another person. And it is a dire problem. Marwan, you know this.
It's dangerous walking on the highway to get to the
sir.
wow.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is dangerous. But this is what people do just to get to work. Okay. So, recognizing that this is an issue, as far as the focus group is concerned, I'm anxious to see exactly what the data is going to say, but I'm happy that we have this. All right. The other part of transportation, clearly we all have this problem, is the price of gasoline and how cost prohibitive it is. For this year has just been hard for families because it eats into their normal budget of providing for their families. So for that particular group, focus group, that was the main thing. So the third focus group we had was in Spanish, Mam, which is a Guatemalan dialect, and English. It was really interesting because there are three different languages going on. And we had one of our excellent interpreters that we work with our WIC program. His name is Otto Cruz. Um, Excellent. And so we had an open conversation about this. Again, there was a mom family there, Guatemalan family, two Spanish speakers outside of us, an English speaker, and we all talked about different things and translated the message to everybody so everybody could hear it and understand it. So the top two, well, the top one here was transportation in this particular segment. That
Really?
was yes, sir. I think I feel like I'm repeating myself, but the next one is healthcare. And this particular focus group was very specific about healthcare. What they said was the main hospital oftentimes do not have speakers for a very specific language.
Mm.
And so care is difficult. Care is difficult to get, and it's difficult to understand the hospital or the staff to understand the needs. Don't get me wrong, everybody really appreciates the hospital staff. And that was said over and over again.
Oh,
People just find it frustrating that that they can't talk to a service provider in their own language.
well, and that's terrifying, right? When you're at the doctor, if you're at especially at the hospital, and it's hard for you to communicate. I'm hurting right now. I need some help, and there's that barrier. Wow. I mean, just
It's
you don't think about that when you're English speaking and the folks around you are English speaking, right? And
you
there's
know we
challenges there also.
we have
Right.
a significant part of the population that speaks other languages and not just Spanish, but Kurdish and Tagalog and other languages where people feel more comfortable their native languages, and that was specifically with healthcare and with the police. I have to throw that in there that there are not enough folks on their staff, or there are no translators available to to um, to interpret their messages or what they're saying. Marwan, I appreciate what you just put in, the transportation call G2, and I'm going to start spreading that message around, um, definitely to people that I know, and maybe even put it on our website so people will
Yeah,
understand
thank you.
that. No, and frankly, I should have mentioned this in the. I mean, it came up twice in two different focus groups about transportation, and if the bus services aren't good enough, and maybe there aren't an abundance of taxi services, but there is this one G2. So I will note that. Okay, and
Yeah, I
when we
appreciate
get
that.
off the podcast, I'll gather some information.
And just to note, we come in quite a bit lower than Uber or regular cabs, and we do operate 7 days a week. So do give us a call if you need transportation. And just one other thing before you jump back in, right now we're working with the county long term aging and care. So if there are any individuals that are elderly or disabled and want to get a booster or
Great.
their vaccination, that transportation is free. So they can give us a call and get that set up. And we kind of encourage you to say, hey, maybe you need to go to the grocery store at the same time, kill two birds with one stone. So
Great.
we're all
Marwan,
about.
so let's say I go to the doctor, I call you and go to the doctor. Will you wait or do I have to call you back? Is that how that works?
It
Uh,
depends on how long it is. So if you're going in for like, let's say you're going somewhere for 15 minutes, then we're gonna wait. There's no sense in us leaving and then coming back and you're waiting an hour for us, right? But if you're gonna be at your appointment for an hour or 2 hours, you call us back, and we're usually there within 15, 20 minutes at the longest.
that's
If you have a scheduled time that you need to be picked up, we'll be there when you need us to pick you up. So we're constantly going to specialists in Seattle and Gig Harbor and Tacoma for doctor's appointments. We're picking people up from work from their graveyard shift. We're taking people to work for their graveyard shift.
wow.
So we understand. We've been doing this for almost 5 years now. No bus service on Saturdays and it ending so early. Folks need to work 2 and 3 jobs just to
Yes.
make ends meet and pay their rent.
Yes, sir.
So it's we find that to be one of the critical things, and it's interesting to hear you say out of two of the three focus groups, transportation was first, right? So that surprises me hearing that, and that means that there's a gap that we clearly need to be servicing whole other populations that need these resources.
So let me just circle back to the healthcare.
Hmm.
So again, folks appreciate the effort. Um, they the another response was appointments are often months out, and of course we
Hmm.
all know that. We all
Hmm.
know that. I mean, just even myself, getting a dentist appointment 4 months out, or my normal doctor visit, if I'm lucky, and you don't, when they call you if an appointment's canceled, you want to take it because you're not sure if you're going to get one in the next few months. It didn't used to be like that, but through no fault of the medical industry, it's difficult right now to retain staff, just like everybody else. The one other thing is many times charge $100 per exam, and that's difficult. That's hard for families to meet. Furthermore, if you have state insurance, many providers do not take state insurance here in Kitsap County. Marwan, did you know that? So I'm
I
talking
did not.
Apple Healthcare. Many state agencies will not take this. And so, what's the alternative? Well, one alternative is Peninsula Community Health, PCHS, and I couldn't have heard so many great things about PCHS. Um, I, I, I want I want the staff and everybody there to know at PCHS that you guys are doing great things in the community and you're well thought of, and they appreciate everything that you do. All right. And furthermore, I'm going to use that word confianza because that's what was said. They have confianza going to PCHS and knowing they're going to get good service. Okay. So I appreciate, and I know the community appreciates PCHS for being active and being available. Okay. All right. So let's see, just finishing this part of the last focus group. Clearly, rent is high and apartments are difficult to get for a lot of reasons, not just for the lack of housing, but lack of credit and
Mm.
lack of a bank account. And that's not in just one demographic. We know, Marwan, that even in the Black community, that happens, right? And it's historically has happened where I don't have credit, or my bank account, I don't really have one, right? So right now, and 3 months of a salary or pay stubs, and so it's hard to get an apartment. That was specifically said. So we all recognize that this is historical. This is a historical issue across marginalized communities. Okay, we all know that. Um, it was interesting too because this particular focus group, they had quite a few kids here, and they said the parks oftentimes feel dangerous.
The parks,
Uh,
really?
And yeah, really. I'm not going to go into the really specific
Okay.
parts of this,
Hmm.
but that is a reflection of the focus group. Wasn't a question that I would have even asked. It was an open-ended question because I wouldn't have thought about that. But these are parents with kids, and that was said, and everybody agreed on that point. So I'm going to talk about a couple of good things that were said in the focus groups as well. Huge shout out to Annika Turner, Kitsap Immigration Assistance Center. Um, no matter um, no matter the country of origin, kayak helps or tries to help. Okay, and people feel safe and comfortable going to kayak for assistance. So that was said a few different times. Again, I already mentioned PCHS, Peninsula Community Health Services. Again, fantastic. Um, and I'm going to give our team a shout out. Our Head Start program, okay, 100% great. So there was a guy there, and he was talking about his daughter, two daughters, and they both go to naval. And I said, "Oh, how did you do this?" Well, we found out that there was a Head Start program. Who's putting that on? Oh, KCR. And we went in there, and the teachers teach our kids in English and Spanish and other languages, and all the kids are feel comfortable. And I made an assumption that no one spoke English, right? I mean, I made that assumption, and the girls walked in the room speaking perfect English. I'm like, oh God, even me, right? I make these assumptions, right? And the person said, yeah, they gave all credit to Head Start and our teachers there and our staff. And I just have to just put it out there. Okay, good job, you guys. Yeah, go do your thing. The other thing I want to say specifically with Head Start is we're short staffed. We're down at 8 teachers.
8.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
We would even do we would do training. We need teachers because it affects the community. Let's say we have to shut down a school, or we're short staffed, so that means we can't. Hello, we
Go ahead.
can't.
Sir.
We don't have enough people to teach or teach the classes, and as a result, there are less students that can come into the class. So we have available spots that can't be filled because we don't have the teachers. Okay, it's a very big problem with us right now. Okay, specifically with Head Start, but across KCR, and I know across all agencies around Kitsap County and the state, people are looking for staff. But Head Start is the beginning of everything. And when you're a kid and you're just in those formative stages of learning, Head Start is super important. And if anybody knows or recommends any teachers or assistant teachers or whatever it is, come to us, come apply, because it's not just a job. What used to be the saying, it's not just a job, it's an adventure. But for us, it is an adventure too, but it's not just a job. It's a direct community support for a long-term need, and especially during COVID, it was very hard because a lot of the things we did were remote or at the house. We tried not to shut down, even though we had to a couple of times. But yeah, and the interaction with the kids at that young of age. Again, it starts early when the kids are actually babies and all the way up to 5 years old, and then they transition to kindergarten. Okay,
Absolutely.
so that was said in a focus group, and their kids were actually there. So it's the focus groups aren't all about complaining or bad things or things that are wrong, but they also talked about good things as well. And so I want to just say there, so we're going to have a few more focus groups. I think I said we mentioned one with the Black Student Union, the NAACP. We're having one. Hopefully, we're going to have one with the Suquamish tribe. I'm going to go out there tomorrow. They've gave me a very great invitation to come out, talk about KCR with the tribe, meet some of the elders in the board, and I'm so appreciative to be able to meet with them in person, and hopefully we'll be able to do a focus group there, and that also includes the S'Klallam tribe as well. Okay, so thank
Tony,
you.
can I ask is if there's a way, I don't know if there's an advocate there, but to maybe do a focus group with the unhoused, because oftentimes they don't have a voice, and I think that'd be pretty impactful.
100%, and that's why we specifically were trying to do one with Fishline. So we are working on that, and trying to figure that out, Marwan. And if I do come back in 2 weeks, hopefully we'll have that date set up. Okay. And again, $25 gift card. We feed everybody. And if you need childcare, we do that as well. And it's a safe environment. And we just want to hear. We just want to listen. And hopefully there will be action items that come out of that through a strategic planning.
And so people can get that information on the website, on the KCR Facebook page, and then
yes, sir. So We have a couple of great folks here that are working with us, Monica Atkins and Arbor. They're like updating newsletters, sending stuff out on the Facebook page, updating the website constantly, especially as it relates to the community needs assessment. So we're lucky to have them, and we're fortunate to have them. In fact, we're fortunate to have everybody that works on our team. I don't say that enough to my staff, Marwan, so I need to say it. A lot of times it just seems like I'm too busy, but I need to say it. I need to tell my staff how great they are. All right, in all sincerity. So,
So let me ask you, Tony, how long have you been the executive director of KCR?
can you believe it's almost been a year?
Ah,
Yeah,
coming up
my
on your 1 year anniversary.
my first date here, I came in to do some stuff. It was November 15th, and I went around and met some folks. I went over to 1201 Park with our HR person at the time, and but my official date was December 1, and it seems longer. but but I think about this a lot. Um, KCR doesn't have an easy job, and everybody that works in social services, it's not easy. Um, and this is one of those hopefully change the world type of jobs, but really try to affect positive change in people's lives. And so we go home with that too, and you sleep on that, and you want to solve everything, but you can't. But you still feel stressed out about that. So it's almost a year, Marwan. So
Well, you know what? I think that would be perfect, for our next conversation, just to kind of have you reflect on the past year, and kind of share that.
mm, that means I'd have to be open and transparent.
Well, is this what this is all about? And you hit that way the entire time, so that's an easy button for you.
Okay. All right. So, wow, I can't believe it's 10:45, and I didn't even get to the second part of the presentation. But I want to, Marwan. So, can I do this? And
Yeah,
and I'm just gonna kind of kick it along because this
go
what I
ahead.
want to talk about is what is community action and what does it mean? So, I'm not sure it's been discussed. And if I can share the screen, Marwan, I'm going to do it right now.
Absolutely.
Share.
And
Yeah.
as Tony is sharing his screen, I just want to let everyone know, please go to the KCR website. You saw all the jobs there for Head Start. There are other positions also, and they are very focused on lived experience, which is fantastic. So please check that out. All right, there you go, Tony.
So I just wanted to kind of give everybody an overview on on community action partnerships and community action agencies. We don't work alone. KCR, Kitsap Community Resources, we're not in this by ourselves, but we have a nationwide network of community action agencies and 30 community action agencies within the state of Washington. And most people don't know it, mostly because we don't talk about it. And that's why I think I'm going to talk about this a lot, Marwan, all right? Just so everybody understands and everybody knows.
I like it.
So the idea behind community action is community action changes people's lives, embodies the spirit of hope, improves communities, and makes America a better place to live. We care about the entire community, and we are dedicated to helping people help themselves and each other. And to follow that, the WASCAP stands for Washington State Community Action Partnerships programs, okay? And the mission is WASCAP works to build healthy communities and eliminate poverty through a unified network of community action agencies across Washington State. All right? Everybody digest that one. And don't worry, I'm going to come back and talk about this, okay? So like I mentioned, we have 30 community action agencies here. Last week, there was a conference that most of us were there, talking about vision, mission, and diversity, and money, of course, and even wages and compensation, and how to retain staff. These are important conversations to have, and they're hard conversations to have So it wasn't really a fun conference, but it was a great to exchange ideas. So, our mission is we envision healthy, just, and sustainable communities across the state, long-term poverty and structural inequities, engaging the public, policymakers, and other partnerships toward that vision. WASCAP also enhances community action's capacity to work directly with our struggling neighbors to meet basic needs, identify pathways to opportunity, and make their voices heard in the system. I know Representative Simmons is on that is on this call, so I want to reach out to you and say this is the message. So we all work together, and I appreciate you, Tara. So current WASCAP values: we should believe that all people are treated with dignity and respect, regardless of income. So look, that's part of our values. That's part of the Community Action Program's values. And that's what was said in the focus group. So there it is, ties together. And we have to remember that. We believe that Washington State has a moral obligation and capacity to ensure that no one is forced to endure the trauma of poverty. And poverty is trauma. Let's be clear about that. We have to work collectively to dismantle the structures that reinforce deep and persistent poverty. We want to try to undo systems that promote racism, sexism, albinism, homophobia, transphobia, and other forms of oppression that we know help drive poverty. And we honestly believe that everybody can reach their full potential, all right? And innovation and excellence requires a multi-sector partnership and collaboration. That's the one thing about this community needs assessment that I've learned myself here in Kitsap County. We have so many partners and collaborators on this that that's the only way to get it done. Organizational aspirations. Aspirations, of course, is what you aspire to be. Continuous improvements. Don't be afraid of change, because change is an opportunity. I mean that internally here at KCR and externally in how we approach problems and solutions. And always equity at the center of everything that we do.
Mm.
This chart is interesting. So this gives you an idea of what the community action agencies look like. Before I started at KCR, I had worked with El Centro de la Raza, but I didn't realize they were a community action agency. Now I've been over to the Seattle office, and now they have a pretty large office, and they're building an apartment complex in Federal Way. So they are a community action agency. Neighborhood House, also West Seattle. Solid Growth, Multi-Service Center, Hope Link, Seattle Conservation Corps, and Centerstone. Those are largish, I should say, community action agencies all out of King County. And then they're all around the state. In Skagit County, in Snohomish County, Chelan Douglas County, they were at the conference. Okanagan, which is rural up here. In Whitman, they were also there. SNAP in Spokane, which actually runs like a cooperative bank, and they use it to help housing. It's a fascinating model. They've been doing it for about 15 years, and it's self-sustaining, which is really great. Blue Action Mountain County, Community Action Program down here, down along the gorge, and Clark County. Pierce County, of course, right here, Community Connections, MDC. Those guys are super cool. Lower Columbia, CAP. Of course, ourselves. Coastal Community Action up in Grays Harbor. And it's not just Grays Harbor. That one actually goes around like 3 different counties. They're pretty interesting. They actually have a sustainable way to help drive their projects, which is windmills that they started about 15 years ago. So it gives them extra revenue. Pretty impressive.
That's cool. Yeah.
I know. I wish, and our staff internally has thought about what is the vehicle to allow us to do this, so we won't have to depend on grants or private funders. And we're trying to work through that. That's not an easy solution, easy problem to solve, but we're trying to get more sustainable. So at least we have to talk about that. Then Olympic Community Action Programs, OLICAP, they're up out of Port Townsend, Port Angeles. They do great work. They do similar things that we do, and we're pretty close to them. So Cherish is the one that runs that show. This is going to be the last slide here. So this is basically how we look. There's a board of directors. I sit on that board. There's a finance committee. I'm fortunately on that finance committee because it's all about the money and where that is. And if we can influence how we approach Department of Commerce and the legislatures, then legislators, then that's an influential position. So the national affiliates on the left, the Department of Commerce on the right, and this is how the funds flow. Community CSBG, which means community service block grants, gives us some unrestricted funding that we can use for a variety of things. Weatherization, I hope everybody knows weatherization is a big program for us. LIHEAP, which is energy assistance. CDBG, which is community development block grants. That's for construction, housing, rehabilitation, even purchasing homes. I know Bremerton Housing Authority got about 1.5 million to buy 5 or 6 homes, I believe. Those were all through CDBG funded, which is great. And then housing services, which is Matt Garrett's area. We all know that. Notice that Head Start and WIC aren't on this chart. It's because those are federally funded programs that don't fall under the Department of Commerce guys. Okay, so that's what we do. And just talking about Head Start real quick, out of all the 30 community action agencies in Washington State, there are only 6 that do Head Start, and we are one of them. And our Head Start team, again, I can't say enough about them. They helped develop the national curriculum for Head Start. And you just have to give them props for that, right? Because it's amazing to me. Anyway, Marwan, one of these days I'll come back and talk about this at greater length and hopefully let people understand how. Let me stop sharing the screen here. How we interact with the agencies around Washington State to influence policy. One example of that is the proviso funding for BIPOC programs, services, businesses. I've talked to you about this before, and I sat on that allocation committee, but it was specifically because the legislators were influencing the governor, and the governor made the decision to match the funding. Okay. That being said, we still have funding. You have an idea? Let's talk about it. You have a business plan? Let me take a look at it. And let's talk about it. We've got to spend that money before June 30, and hopefully we're going to get another round of funding for next year. But first things first, trying to find sustainable enterprises that we can support. And for the first time in this history of KCR, we're able to do that. And all the community action programs in Washington State received a portion of that proviso funding. We're unique in the country. There's only a few states that authorize this, and we want to take advantage of it so we can be a model for other states.
That is fantastic. And you're saying the first time ever?
The first time ever. I mean, come on. We can do this. I mean, there's this opportunity here, and I believe this, Marwan. And I'm not just talking about sponsorships and giving money out. I mean, there's an opportunity now to do something that could have a long-term effect. And if we could prove it, we can show it, and then we can duplicate it and get more funding. Okay, which leads me to the next thing. Remember last time we were talking about grant writing and capacity building from the grant writing. Remember, if you're interested in capacity writing, send me an email. Did I say capacity writing? Grant writing. Send me an email because we're going to set up another class in January. Again, the last class we had 10 people that enrolled, only 7 completed it, and 1 grant is ready to go. And we actually helped fund a project, House of Hope, Harriet Banks. She's amazing. We are helping to fund her project for foster kids, specifically for BIPOC foster kids in Port Orchard. And she's got a grant ready to go as well as a result of that grant writing class. Okay. So I just encourage people to apply.
Shout out to that. And I was one of those BIPOC foster kids.
Yes, sir. You were.
It definitely hits my heart there for sure. Wow. You know, you're always concerned that we're not going to be able to fill an hour. And you fill an hour quite well.
You didn't even get to talk a lot, Marwan.
Hey, I don't need to, you know. It's all about you. This is the
No, never
executive
about it's
director,
never
Tony.
about me, Marwan, never.
But I would be remiss if I didn't share, again, because you were talking about transportation earlier. So folks do need it, they can give us a call. And we have a new acquisition. So we just got our first 15 passenger van. So we're super excited about
Do the
that.
horn, Marwan, do the horn.
And we used it last night to take all the kids to the event. So I think we had maybe 12 people in that van last night, and so that was fantastic. And we also do have a wheelchair accessible van for those that need that support also. So just wanted to add that out. Thank you there, Kendra. Love the van and G2 for life. Awesome. All right. So what are you going to leave us with there, Tony?
Goodbye. No, it's Halloween, but the holidays are coming up. Everybody be safe. And for us, just remember not just the grant writing class, but if you have anything to say, if you want to be heard, pick up the phone and call me or send me an email. But also the focus groups, if you're involved, remember $25 gift card that you can use just about anywhere, any store, plus free dinner, which is really good. We try to go to a local place, grab dinner, and we take care of the kids too. Okay, so I just want to say, Marwan, I appreciate you, and I appreciate this forum, and I appreciate everybody on this call and everybody who participated in the community needs assessment as well. So thank you.
Well, we definitely appreciate your time as always. And there on the screen, $25 gift card, food and childcare for those participating in the CNA focus group. And you can go to KCR's website. The link is there /CNA. And then scroll to the bottom. You'll see all the dates there for you. So hopefully we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Uh, Glad that you got a little bit of rest. And man, we look forward to hearing more as to what you and KCR is doing.
I'm not sure what we're going to talk about 2 weeks from now, Marwan, but I'll think of something.
You're quite busy. I'm sure something will come up. But I would love to hear your reflection on your first year for sure. What you thought, where you're going, what do you want to get done, what do you want to do more of, things like that.
Okay. All right. Okay.
All right. Well, everyone, for Tony Ives, I am Marwan Cameron. This is the Conduit Podcast. We will see you next time.